Hey everybody, we are now live. Hopefully you're able to hear me. I'm going to watch the chat here. As always, we can never start one of these without some kind of technical glitch. And thanks to YouTube for changing my entire great, now I'm getting a phone call. See, this is perfect. Changing my entire description of this event. Let me just 1 second. Yeah, so anyways, getting calls out the just why not? Why not everybody, hey, you want my phone number? Just call me right now. It's be a perfect time to call me. So anyways, you are here hopefully because you want to see some beer. So tonight I had a really nice beer haul yesterday. I was in Ann Arbor. Holmes had a can release, and a really big thing happened yesterday for Michigan at least. Equilibrium out of New York had a can release here too, surprisingly, but it was only two locations, one in Ann Arbor and one in Royal Oak. Hopefully you guys can hear me because I'm not seeing anybody say that they can't, so I'm going to continue. But yeah, they had Royal Oak release and an Ann Arbor release. Ann Arbor was at Blue Front, which is a bottle shop, and Royal Oak was Holiday Market, which is a grocery store, but they have an awesome beer department. And you might be thinking, well, Equilibrium doesn't distribute here. Why did they have a can release? Well, so Holmes had a festival today, which is called Nucleate, and they did their they brought beer from New York for this Nucleate festival, and I don't know 100%, but what it is that they had they must have brought extra for this festival, so they were they brought it to these stores because they do pretty good volume. And yeah, so I was a lucky recipient of a few of these beers, and I'm going to have them today. And if you see me reaching down under here, it's because I'm grabbing beers. So I have 6 beers today. I'm not going to drink all 6, the whole thing. But yeah, let's... Maybe I will. You never know. It's really bad outside, so hopefully my internet doesn't go down, and hopefully this stream stays, consistent. So what I have here is I have FAUX, which is a sour double IPA from Holmes. I have Upside, which is an IPA from Holmes. Let's set these over here. Let's go with the last Holmes, which is Hover, which is a double IPA. And then those are the 3 Holmes beers. This was a can release from yesterday. They released all 3 of those in a bottle as well. And for the Equilibrium side, I have Breaking Enigma, which is a double IPA. I have Middletown Waves, which is, I believe it is a triple IPA, a 10% triple IPA, so I'm excited about that one. And then I have MC Squared, which is an 8% double IPA. So maybe I should stack them up like they were in that picture, and they look like this. So, I don't know. Which one should I start with? I haven't had any of these. I haven't had any of the Equilibrium. I haven't ever had an Equilibrium beer, and I haven't had any of the Holmes from this Holmes release. What I think I would like to do, you tell me which one. I got a couple people watching. You guys tell me which one do you want me to start with, but I want to save Middletown Waves, and I want to save this sour, I think, for the last 2 from each place, because I'm really looking forward to trying the sour IPA, and I'm really looking forward to this Middletown Waves, which is, let me get to my notes. Let's see. All right, so super organized, All right, so Middletown Waves is, they have a beer called Straight Outta Middletown, which is, I believe, a double, but it might be a triple. This one has lactose and oats added. It's supposed to have a thicker and... Hey, green screen. Supposed to have lactose. It's supposed to be a little bit heavier of a mouthfeel. So you guys let me know which one you want to see, which brewery you want to see first, and then we'll move from there. And maybe once I see what you guys pick, I will I'll put these back in my cooler here so there's a little cold when I get to it. All right, so I got 2 commenters right now. I got Review the Brew, which is Tyler, and I got Brew Daddy Dave. Brew Daddy Dave is saying Upside, and I know he's tried that one. So let's put these other two back in the cold. Hey, surprise! So then which equilibrium should I keep out? Any preferences? I'm going to put Middletown back because this is the one I want to save for last. And I'm going to leave out... let's leave the Breaking Enigma out as well. So this is a double IPA, and this is just an IPA. All right, so we're going to open Upside first. This is from Holmes. And yeah, so my notes here for Upside is 6.8% double dry hopped IPA with Mosaic and Citra. So those are classic combinations for New England style IPA. So this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, at least on that hop front, that hop bitterness front. But other than that, we got SoCal checking in. And Tyler thinks MC squared. So let's move this over. And so again, this is Upside from Holmes in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I could smell a lot of kind of a nice aroma right out of the can. Look at that. It smells like orange juice, big time orange juice. It's got a bit of a, I don't know what to call that. It's got a real traditional dank kind of New England style IPA scent to it, or aroma, and I was schooled. So if you say scent, that means it's pleasing. Aroma is the actual smell. So yeah, it's got I guess a bit of a citrus aroma, a little bit of some of that dankness. Just smells really good. So I'm going to start with this one. I got 6 beers to get through. Cheers. Wow, it's got like a piney, citrusy kind of taste. It's got really bright flavors, really bright citrus, and it has like a bit of a pineapple too, like a bitter pineapple-y kind of taste. The mouthfeel on the tail end, it's got a nice fluffy mouthfeel, but on the tail end it kind of thins out a little bit. And it gets a little, almost a little like bready, like light kind of bready maltiness on the tail end. But it's got a really good taste. I can't say that there's anything about this that really sets it apart from a lot of other New England style IPAs that I've had. This is kind of just like a standard juicy New England style IPA. I know they list it as an IPA. And this is, like I said, this is 6.8%. This is going to be the lightest beer I have today. It goes 6.8, a couple 8%, an 8.5, a 10%. So I guess we start off with the lowest, where I'm most coherent and I can talk somewhat intelligently about this. And let me just kind of stop right there. If any of you guys are drinking anything tonight, shout it out in the chat. Let's kind of see what everybody else is drinking, and we'll keep going from there. So I think let me see what MC squared is. Oh, MC squared is 8%. I'm going to put Breaking Enigma back in. And because Tyler mentioned it, I'm going to go with MC squared as my first equilibrium, first ever equilibrium beer. And being a little bit, like he said, OG, a little older of the bunch here, that makes me feel like I was there when they first started. All right, so let's crack this one. Got a little wet there. This is like filled to the top. I crack this and the beer is like right there. There's not even any headspace in this can. So let's see if I can pour this. I don't know. I'll have to check when this was brewed, if there's a brewed on date on the can, which I probably should have looked at first. Had a nice kind of bubblation there. A nice amount of carbonation on this. There's no date on the bottom, at least. And, oh, here we go. May 17th. So not too bad. What, about 2 weeks, almost exactly? And it's got a nice head retention. This is a little bit more orangey, a lot more head on it than, I think this one didn't even really have much of a head. I'll have to look at the replay. All right, so it looks like some other people picked up some equilibriums as well. And Tyler's drinking. There was a Untitled Art and an Equilibrium collaboration, I guess, that got released here as well. Yeah, Espresso Marshmallow Stout. So let's put a nose on this one. This one has, again, you know, New England kind of hazy, juicy IPA kind of scent to it. I mean, it doesn't really, if we go with what the hop combination was on this, MC Squared is, they have a beer called Photon, which is an IPA, and this one is essentially Photon Squared. That's why it's MC Squared. I mean, MC, you know, that doesn't really have much to do with Photon, but it's basically they're multiplying the hopping rate on the Photon. They're multiplying it by itself, you know, for this one. So that's why it's MC Squared. It's very clever. So a really nice head still sticking around. I have my laptop here, and my notes are over here, so the whole thing's it's a calamity. This is just a bad thing. So this one's a little bit more orange juicy than Upside was. Let me show you the can face there. The mouthfeel seems like it's a little bit heavier. This one has a little bit more of that kind of hoppy bitterness. This one's a little bit smoother, but it's also got like a different fruit profile. It's got a little bit more passion fruit. It's got a little bit more tropical fruit flavor in it. That orange juiciness jumps up right at the front on this one. Whereas with Upside, it's a little bit more subdued. It's a little bit more deep in there. I would say of the two, I mean, I know that they're quite different ABV-wise, but I think I like the Equilibrium flavor a little bit more. It's got a little bit more of a bursting flavor on the upfront. The finish is a little bit more, it's a little bit thinner than on Upside. This one has maybe a little bit of a kind of a, I don't know, like a guava almost taste. I think I prefer it a little bit more just because it's got a little bit more of that flavor, a little bit more of that bursting kind of fruit juiciness, which I like. Not that I dislike the Holmes, but like I said, the Holmes Upside is just, it doesn't really do anything to wow me. It's kind of the same New England style IPA if you've had one that is done, you know, well, like a juicy one rather than maybe a more bitter one. It kind of has just a generic New England style IPA vibe to it. When I taste a New England style IPA, or when I look for one at the store, I look for it to taste like this because that's what most of them taste like. And sometimes they don't really get outside of that. And I think with having the Mosaic and Citra hops, you know, it's a traditional kind of New England style hop combination. I think that's just kind of par for the course, and that's what you're going to get. So again, not substandard by any means, but I think it's just kind of more of a traditional, more of a kind of general run-of-the-mill New England. But I think, you know, this isn't like a head-to-head or anything, or I'm not really, you know, picking favorites. But if I was picking favorites, I would go with MC Squared over this Upside by Holmes. But again, you can't go wrong with either. What this is a really good example of the style, but it's not anything, you know, out of the ordinary. It's not anything jumping out. So let's move on. Get another taste of this one. It's got a bit of almost like a pininess on the tail end, but it's not really bitter. It's really smooth. So next, I'm going to go with Holmes. This is their double IPA. This is Hover. It is, I guess they have a single hop double IPA series. That's what Hover is a part of. Crumple might be in that. I'm not sure. I only say that because the can art's similar. It's this geometric kind of pattern. And it says that it is double dry hopped exclusively with Idaho 7 hops. So, we're looking for stuff that doesn't exist. And it's live TV for you, folks. Live YouTube, I don't know. Let's go ahead and crack this one. And I believe this was canned within the last week. Again, this was just released yesterday. All 3 of these Holmes beers were just released yesterday, if you didn't hear me earlier. And this one has a little bit more headspace. I can see on the can. Let's go ahead and pour it. A little bit more head retention on this one. It kind of reminds me a little bit more of this first Equilibrium. But the color is a little bit more pale yellow. I don't have my overhead hooked up. I don't have a way to do two cams at once, so you're going to have to just... This will have to suffice for now, I guess. And that's really like a bright... Again, another kind of juicy, super, super hazy, super thick. Like, I mean... You know, if you've watched my videos, you see that I do this thing with my hand, and I have this really big light here, so if I hold my hand in front of it, you know, usually you can see some kind of definition or something. This is super thick. This is like, it's like pineapple juice, but super pulped pineapple juice. You can't even see through this. It's not even a thought. I can't even see, I can barely see my finger like through the reflection of this glass. That's how thick this is. So just to kind of give you an idea. So let's put a nose on this. I'm not getting a whole lot of aroma out of this. It smells fruity, it smells citrusy, it's juicy, but I'm not getting any real defining characteristics. I'd say so far out of all these that this that Upside has had the biggest aroma, but this isn't really giving off much. So let's go ahead and jump in. That head's still holding on really well. It's really juicy. This is a lot sweeter than Upside was. It's got a really heavy, pillowy mouthfeel, and it has this really candied kind of citrusy flavor on the tail end, like right before the finish, right before the aftertaste, and the aftertaste has this really candied, citrusy pineapple juice flavor to it. The only one I can think of that I've had like this was Transient put out Rainbows and Waterfalls, or Waterfalls. I think it's Rainbows and Waterfalls. That is like really reminiscent of this beer, except Rainbows and Waterfalls was a little bit more thin on the open, on the start, and the finish is where all that sweetness came through. This is like sweet all the way through, from beginning to end, from start to finish. The mouthfeel, if I didn't mention it before, is really kind of heavy but light, right? It's pillowy, it's soft, it's really thick though. I still want to go back to this Upside. Yeah, the Upside's a little bit thinner. I mean, it's an IPA. This is a double IPA, but this one feels really heavy. And the more that I kind of get, the more I drink of these heavier, you know, as we've been going along, these have gotten a little bit thicker on the mouthfeel, and I've read that some of these Equilibriums, especially this Middletown Waves that I'm holding for last, on the Equilibrium side, is supposed to be really thick, and I'm really looking forward to that. If this is anything like that, I'm thinking I'm going to really enjoy it. So yeah, Hover from Holmes is It's a nice kind of sweetness all the way through, and has a piney bit of a hoppy finish at the tail end. So that's that. And I'm ready to move on to Breaking Enigma from Equilibrium. And I'll probably come back and revisit each of these as I go through. But yeah, this is Breaking Enigma. This is kind of like using the base. What does it say? Notes. Base is... no, I'm wrong. Okay. This uses Enigma hops and Citra. I can't say that I know if I've... And this label is going to come through as looking the same as my background. I use a green screen, and this is a green label. Imagine a world that this label looks like something from the Matrix with all the numbers trickling down. That's exactly what this looks like. So, yeah, you can see as I hold it up, I'm seeing my little replay, my delay. It's like, whoa, let's hold it. I think, yeah, Draft Therapy's over here. You should be able to see Draft Therapy through this can. So let's crack this. Is there a date on this one? Not on the bottom. I don't see a date. Oh, right here. 5/21/2019, about 10 days, 11 days ago. So very, really not very long ago. And another one where the headspace is like non-existent. There's no headspace, and I mean there's no gap between when you open this and the beer right at the top at the opening of the can. So this one actually looks kind of thin pouring it. I mean, in comparison to all these other crazy looking beers. And it is like, you know, it's funny. This Breaking Enigma looked just like, well, maybe it's a little bit lighter. It reminds me a lot of the Upside from Holmes. Like the color, the pour, the smell. I'm getting a little bit more of a piney kind of smell to it. And it has a little bit more of a like an aroma to it than the other ones did, or at least the last two have. This one has a little bit more of kind of I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what Enigma hops, what the characteristics of that are. But like just from the smell of it, it almost smells like they're a New Zealand or an Australian hop variety. I don't know the origin of it, but to me, the Australian or the New Zealand hops like Nelson Sauvin and Galaxy kind of have these, like, for lack of a better term, they kind of have this cat pissy kind of aroma to it. It's this really strong, biting kind of aroma, and that's kind of what I'm getting out of this. It smells kind of, again, for lack of a better term, it smells kind of meaty. It has this kind of meaty smell to it. So yeah, imagine in your head, meaty and cat pissy. That's kind of like the aroma I'm getting from this. It almost smells like a soup. Like a vegetable soup. So, I'm gonna go ahead and try this out. So cheers. Really creamy. It's got a super creamy mouthfeel. The creamiest of all these so far. And it's got a little bit, having that really creamy mouthfeel, kind of lends to it having almost like this thinner flavor to it. And no, none of these to my knowledge are barrel aged. So I know that's a big kind of, you know, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. It's a big, you know, stretch. It's a change of form because it seems like everything's barrel aged, but none of these are barrel aged, surprisingly. I think some of the Nucleate that Holmes released at the Nucleate Festival is barrel aged. But none of these are, so. Really creamy, but a little bit on the thin side, mouthfeel-wise. The flavor... It's kind of bright on the tail end, but on the upfront, it's just this flavor that I can't really put my finger on. And then the tail, the bitterness comes through on the finish, on the aftertaste. It's a bit more of a piney, earthy kind of flavor, which is kind of a good change of pace, something that's nice to see out of a hazy or a juicy IPA. Most of the times they're more citrusy than anything else. This has a bit of a citrus quality to it, and I think it's more of like a passion fruit kind of taste, but it doesn't have... It just has that finish, like an earthy kind of finish, and a lot of New England's or a lot of hazies or juicies, whatever it's called this week, they don't generally have that earthy kind of flavor, and that kind of sets it apart just in that respect. Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. No barrel-aged beers today. I do have... I'm not even going to say it. I have one that I brought home from Florida that I really want to try, but I'm going to have 6 tonight, so that's just not a good idea. But yeah, it's got this passion fruit kind of flavor to it. It's got this really subtle stone fruit kind of flavor on the tail end, right before the finish, right before the bitterness sets in on the hoppy, earthy, piney kind of finish. Again, this is just a really puzzling kind of combination of hops and flavors and everything else. So I'm gonna hide the fact that I'm using a green screen by moving that out of the way. And let me move this over a little bit so we can get these a little bit more front and center. So I'm going to move into, really quick poll of the 2 people that are commenting on here. Do you want to see the sour IPA from Holmes following the kind of pattern that I've been going through, or do you want to see the, Middletown Waves from Equilibrium? Let me know. I'm going to take a drink of water here, clear myself out a little bit, and then I'll come back, and if you guys don't decide, then I'll decide. I don't think I could have said it better myself. I think a beer that smells like a cat pissed on a pork chop. I mean, how could you not want to just lap that up? So what we have here is we have FAUX, which I would say it's FAUX, but it's FAUXPOL. It's a sour double IPA. I can't say that I've ever had a sour double IPA, especially not in this kind of New England tradition that these beers so far have been. And then we have Middletown Waves, which is a triple IPA from Equilibrium. This is brewed on 5/10/2019, so it's the oldest of these Equilibrium beers. It contains lactose. It's finished with oat. I believe they have a beer. Equilibrium has a beer called Straight Outta Middleton. This is that beer, but it has lactose and oats added for a thicker and creamier finish, and it features Mosaic and Citra hops. Again, just like Holmes Upside, which uses Mosaic and Citra hops. Again, classic combination for a New England style IPA. And Don, yes, it was actually pretty good. So I'm gonna go with my buddy Dave here, and he says FAUX. All right, 2 people FAUX. That is what we're gonna do. So this whole countertop just looks like a wow. I'm gonna close down the iPad. I don't need any more notes. I hope not. I probably will. Who knows? And then we're going to move some of this stuff over. Hopefully keep most of it in the frame. Yeah, I'm going to have to know which one is which, right? That might be good. All right. This is FAUX, a double IPA, sour double IPA. This has lactose. It has almonds added to it. They were at Nucleate. Holmes is at Nucleate, I guess, on their sign. They listed the possible allergens And it says right on the can here, contains nuts and milk sugar, and the nuts are almonds. So it's got this crazy looking tribal kind of artwork on it. It's a really interesting looking can. It's pretty crazy. Holmes always has really good artwork. And this is super interesting. I couldn't tell you what's going on here, but it's something. It's definitely something. All right, so this actually looks kind of clear, just looking at the gap in the can here. Look at that. It's actually pretty clear, especially compared to all these other orange juices. And that, I mean, even coming out of the can, I don't know if you can see that in any real good detail, but that's super light, super clear looking. And it, oof, that smells sour. That just smells like, ooh. It's not the best smell. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's got like, man, that's like a gym bag. That is like, that's like a sour smelling gym bag. And I mean, let's look at this. Okay, so these other two from Holmes so far, double IPA, an IPA, and you can look at the look at the colors on these. Hopefully I'm not mixing these up. Nope, I'm not. You can tell by the head. IPA, double IPA, sour double IPA. Yeah, I guess looking at the picture, it doesn't look super light, but this thing is like, this is practically Bud Light compared, like looking through the light compared to these other two beers. This is almost what I would say to be clear in this category. I mean, I can see my shadow, the shadow of my fingers. I'm like the groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil. I can see the shadow of my fingers through this, whereas these two have been like nothing. This has been nothing like the other two, and I had to approve Cody's comment here because it must have been cat piss is just too much for the YouTube censors or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it looks crazy compared to the other two. It definitely smells crazy. Just like I said, not. I'm like gonna just smell this thing to death. I'm just gonna drink it. So cheers. We have a clear winner for tonight so far. This Foul sour double IPA. It smells not great, but it tastes amazing. This is like, wow. It has such a bitterness to it. It's almost like a puckering bitterness. It's when I first kind of got back into sours, it was with Gozas. And I had a Goza, and it was like, oh man, this is so sour, and you kind of pucker up, and but you like it. It's like one of those puckering kind of tastes that you like an Atomic Warhead or something, where the opening is so sour, you're just not used to it, and it kind of just makes you clench up a little bit, like all your muscles and, sphincters and everything just contract a little bit, and then you get like that sweet release of the sweetness underneath all that citric acid in the Warhead, right? That's what this is. At first taste, it is so puckering, so kind of sour, acidic, it's clenching. Everything just clenches up. But then it gives way to this amazing sweetness that is just like, it has kind of like the aftertaste, because that's what that's like the most recent thing. It's like if you get a really juicy nectarine or a peach or something, where the outside's really juicy and really just soft, and you bite into it and just dribbles on your face, but you get to the center where it's like the pit. It's right around the pit, and it gets like this this just thin, it's sweet, but it's not overpoweringly sweet. It's just this really kind of drawn out sweetness, and that's what the aftertaste on this tastes like. But you get that really puckering bitterness at the beginning, almost like a saltiness, but not quite. And it tingles on your tongue. It just hangs on there, and then after that tingling kind of subsides, you get just the sweetness comes through. It's like a really sweet citrus or a pineapple or something that's just almost a candied kind of pineapple taste. I'm going to finish all these beers because it's Saturday night and I don't have much to do tomorrow. So I'm going to finish all these beers, but this is the one I'm going to finish first because it is a really typical, almost kettle sour style that Holmes has. If you've ever had any of their sherbets, you know, from the guava sherbet or maybe the orange and blueberry sherbet, or just with exception to the tiki, because I didn't really think the tiki was all that great. It had this really nice kind of underlying tropical taste to it. But yeah, it's this is like it's almost a sherbet, but it's not, because it has, I don't know, I can't tell you, I don't know enough about it to be able to tell you why they would be able to label this as a sour IPA, because I'm not getting any kind of bitterness or any kind of hoppiness to it, but I'm sure that something along the line of the brewing process, you know, maybe it's not so much fruit added, or where they do with like the guava or the blueberry basil or all those different kind of sherbets that they do, they add the fruit in afterwards. I don't think there's any actual fruit in this, but I don't know them well enough. We're not in constant contact, so I can't tell you that part of it. But I think this one could be labeled as part of the sherbet series, maybe because it doesn't really have a creamy kind of mouthfeel. But if they labeled this as as part of the sherbet series, I don't think anybody would argue with that. So I'm gonna kind of savor that a little, maybe even later in this stream. But and Tyler is drinking. He's got a Tangerine Haze from Big Lake, and that's one I was talking to him offline, and that's one of the things I was really looking forward to trying is Tangerine. Tyler, you'll have to let me know if the Tangerine Lake Haze is like if it's just a blood orange, but they tweaked it. And Cody, yes, this is the ultimate hangover table. I think the hangover has already started because I'm talking so clearly. Again, another Equilibrium beer where there's no headspace in this can, and it looks like it's just a yellow mass here. I wish the overhead was on. The camera's not up there, and there's no way I could pipe it in, but just how crazy. When you crack these cans, each 3 of these cans, if you've watched the stream or if you go back and you watch it later, each one of these things has popped a little bit, and just, I've gotten like a mini shower. Each one of these. So again, this is Middletown Waves. It is a variation on straight out of Middletown from Equilibrium. Middletown is where Equilibrium is. This contains lactose. It contains some other thing that if you are allergic to lactose, you probably won't want to drink. And this is the one I was looking most forward to because I had read that this was like the juiciest of juicy beers. And yeah, you know, there's all this talk about New England styles or juicy IPAs, and that Michigan, you know, M43 is like our crowning achievement. And then there are these other, there are all these other kind of breweries outside of the state that, you know, everybody says, oh, no, you got to have this one, you got to have that one. It's like, well, we got some pretty decent ones here in Michigan, right? So this is the one that I'm looking forward to trying because I want to see if it lives up to all the hype that I've kind of read about. And Equilibrium, I mean, so far the beers have been fantastic. And I think Holmes is probably right up there near the top of IPAs or juicy IPAs or New England style IPAs or hazy IPAs, or I could go on and on about all the different descriptors that people use for these kind of beers, and I think Holmes is just right up there. I think they put out great beer, but this is one that it's a triple IPA. It's 10%, and I'm just kind of really looking forward. I've heard it's super juicy again. Okay, this one there's actually a little bit of a shadow. It looks like something's been placed between this really nice big light and my beer, but I'm gonna dive in. So cheers. All right, that's pretty good. This is like what I liken it to. So this is, I just kind of remembered as I'm like in mid drink. This is lactose and oat. This is very much to me reminiscent of Boss Tweed, but it's a little bit. Boss Tweed has this kind of boozy bitterness on the tail end. This has no bitterness. There's nothing in this beer that would lead you to believe that there is like any kind of bitterness in it at all. It is really, really nice, really juicy, really nice creamy mouthfeel. It has a little bit of a kind of this little tweak, this little funky tweak at the end. Breaking Enigma so far, out of all the beers before Middletown Waves, I would say is the creamiest, the smoothest, the lightest, the kind of the really nice mouthfeel, that really nice kind of, you get all that really great flavor just up front, and I don't want to say this, but it has that really nice mouthfeel. It feels really good in your mouth. But I think it's rivaled by this Middletown Waves. This is really nice. It's got a really nice mouthfeel, kind of almost borderline kind of chunky mouthfeel. It's just so thick. It's just got such a cloudy, such a I don't know, just this really nice mouthfeel to it, and creamy. It checks all the categories for mouthfeel that you'd want to have on a New England style or a hazy, juicy, whatever IPA. It's got this light kind of like a malty, kind of a crackery maltiness in the front end, and then it kind of ramps up into this really sweet, citrusy. That's been the theme of the night, citrus. I don't think any of these have not been something I've said citrusy about at some point. But yeah, this has been, I don't know. I think the two that I ended on have been a fitting end. Upside by Holmes, I think I enjoyed, but again, it's just kind of a typical New England style IPA, nothing really special to it. Then I moved on to MC Squared, which I enjoyed quite a bit, which is like their double IPA version of Photon, 8%. Then moving up to, wow, I'm just like a gas bag. Up to Hover, which is a double IPA, I believe also 8%. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I've enjoyed all these. This has not been torturous by any means. And I would agree with what Tyler's saying. He says that, you can read this, but obviously he says we're all really lucky to be craft beer fans at this time. There's so much good stuff just from everywhere. But yeah, I just, was really good. It was a little bit more, I've drank so many beers at this point, I don't remember all the individual things I said about it. Let me just drink it. Let me just shut the hell up and I'll drink it. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. I remember that one. Breaking Enigma, as it's gotten a little bit warmer, it kind of has a little bit more of that meaty. I'm getting a little bit more of a meaty taste out of it. But as I was saying, the ones that I think I finished on for both breweries, both Holmes, FAUX, and Middletown Waves, these are really fitting kind of ends to this, because this is elevating sour IPAs. I think that this particular beer kind of elevates the whole style up, And I think with this Middletown Waves, it's kind of the epitome. It's probably something that Equilibrium wants. You know, that's kind of like what they're striving for. I can't say these three beers are all I know about Equilibrium at this point, because again, this is not like a normally distributed thing in I don't know, thing in Michigan. So, and this was a limited kind of deal. I don't know if we'll see them again. I don't know if they're kind of dipping their toe in the water, if we're going to see them more, you know, at stores in Michigan. It might have, like I said, I think my kind of theory is that they were at Nucleate this weekend, earlier today, and they brought a boatload of stuff in to Michigan for Nucleate. They decided, hey, there's this bottle shop in Ann Arbor that's really cool, and they got a lot of kind of limited stuff, and there's this really cool grocery store in Royal Oak, and they do a lot of stuff. Let's just put it out there. And again, as far as I know, as of earlier today, you could still get the Equilibrium stuff. I don't know about right now if it's sold out. I know they were still selling singles as of about midday today. But yeah, this isn't something that's normally put out in Michigan. So, but I think Middletown Waves right now is kind of like probably what they're striving for a little bit more. And Don asked the question, does Holmes distribute, or do they only sell at their brewery? They only sell at their brewery right now. I don't think that they have any aspirations or any kind of, I don't think they want to sell outside the brewery. I think they want to kind of like, you know, I always mention these breweries, like the one I think of all the time is Monkish. They have their thing in the tap room. They only sell in the tap room. You come to the tap room, you know, or Treehouse, you know, you go to those places or destinations. That's how they kind of buck that whole 3-tier beer system where the distributor makes a lot of the money. They sell it just out of the tap room. So they'll announce stuff on Instagram, on Facebook. If you're a Mug Club member, you'll get an email, and it kind of entitles you to get it an hour. You can get you basically can get in line. You have the privilege of getting in line about an hour earlier than everybody else, or at least getting the beer about an hour before everybody else. And yeah, Dave here mentioned in the comments, it sells out really quick. I think that they have another production facility besides just the tap room, or at least they had like a feeder where they were trying to do their sours in an off-site facility. I don't know if their tap room is still set up like that. But yeah, and I've heard talk that they want to be able to just can a bunch of stuff off-site and then bring it in, and then they'll have a bunch of stuff for the general public. And the funny thing about this whole Equilibrium thing is so yesterday again, Holmes had a can release of these 3 cans, and Equilibrium had 6 different things on tap. I'm not made of money, so I only got 3 of the 6 things. But initially, Bluefront said it would be 2 4-packs per customer. And then when it opened, they said no limit. You could buy whatever you want. So it sounds like Equilibrium must have brought a big box truck just full of all these beers. But they sold out. Equilibrium at Bluefront in Ann Arbor sold out within 90 minutes. And as of, again, midday yesterday, midday today, Holiday Market still had some beer from Equilibrium left over. So, yeah. So yeah, that's really it. I think this is just kind of me. I wanted to taste these different beers. I wanted to share them with you guys. I want to kind of spread the word on these beers. I think my favorites out of the two breweries really have been this FAUX from Holmes and Middletown Waves from Equilibrium. It's probably been my favorite of the Equilibrium stuff. Again, this is the first time I've had this like ever, and I've had Holmes quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, if you want a run-of-the-mill New England style IPA, Upside would be my choice, I guess, out of all 6 of these. I think that Hover, I had to look at the name of it. It's a pretty good beer. it changes it a little bit. It's a little bit more bitter. It's a little bit more of an IPA with some of that kind of juicy quality to it. MC Squared I really liked quite a bit, and it's a good change of pace. I think Breaking Enigma is just kind of a weird one. It's got kind of that, again, meaty, pork choppy, cat pissy taste to it. I don't know if that's if that's a compliment or an insult. And then Middletown Waves I really quite enjoyed, and this, by any indication, this is empty, and I've drank a lot of it. This is my overwhelming favorite out of all of it. So I'll take any kind of questions you guys have, and if you have questions you want to ask later, if you're watching this after the live stream, 224draft20. I'm going to do 1,000 subscriber live stream, I'm thinking next week, next Saturday, probably about the same time. If you submit any questions on there, either through voicemail or through text, you can text that number, 224draft20. I'll pick somebody at random. I'll probably send some stuff and I'll send some stuff. I have stickers. I have these Draft Therapy stickers. I have magnets as well. I have some round stickers. I'll send probably a bunch of stuff. I'll probably send a code with at cost a shirt of your choice. But yeah, so send any questions for that particular thing. But if you have any questions, I'll answer them now. If you guys just want to hang around and watch me drink these, I don't know. I don't have anything going on except for falling asleep, and I'm sure very shortly after I finish most of these beers, I'll be falling asleep because some of these aren't even close to empty. But yeah, if you have any questions, any kind of comments, if you're looking for any kind of info that I can possibly provide, I'll do my best to be an unreliable narrator. And whoa, that was not. But I'm going to try and finish some of these off on the live stream while I have some captive attention. I gotta say, I did a beers of Florida, and I had about this many beers. We're almost an hour in on the stream, and I think an hour in, I was just barely breaking the surface on all the different stuff that was going on. So SoCal Shave says that I thought you couldn't go live on YouTube if you didn't have 1K. You can't go live on your phone if you don't have 1,000 subscribers. You can go live on a desktop, or in this case it's a laptop. So if you use a desktop client, I've drank a few beers, you can't go live on a phone, or some GoPros. The new GoPro 7 you can do live streams through that. You can't do that if you don't have 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully that explains what I was talking about. But yeah, so if you were at your desktop, you had a webcam, or I'm connected via this whole really ridiculous rig, then you can go online, you can go live, but you can't go live on a phone, on a GoPro, remotely, unless you have 1,000 subscribers. But anything less than 1,000, you can still use a desktop, a webcam. In this case, it's my GH5 connected through a dongle, basically. But yeah, the really hilarious thing was, I've kind of been planning on. Whoa, I got this upside down. I wanted to go live on different stuff. I wanted to go live in tap rooms and stuff, and I just got to 1,000 subscribers, so that just got implemented right before I got to 1,000. So I had 950 or 900 or something, and then it's hey, you gotta have 1,000. And I couldn't do what I wanted to do, having just 950 or 900. So once I got to now that I have 1,000, I can do remotes like I wanted to do. I of course have to get breweries that want to do it with me. But yeah, that was a really nice treat. It's every time you get to the point where you can make that next step in YouTube, they kind of move the bar, and that was. I'm not going to approve the joke that was in here. Upcoming releases in Southeast Michigan to look forward to. I think the funny thing is, for me, I don't really know what's upcoming until it's kind of already here. So the only thing that I'm thinking of upcoming for me that I'm kind of excited about is this whole Bell's Leaves of Grass kind of thing. They just did one based on the Walt Whitman collection or poems. I don't know much about Walt Whitman, but so they have the number 1 came out, Song of Myself, and then 2 through 7 are going to come out like every other month, basically, until the end of the year. But that's really until a brewery says, like, and some of them play it really close to the vest. Like, they don't say what they're going to do, you know, until it actually comes out. The one that I can, besides those Bells things, probably the next Founders, the Founders release, the next Barrel Age series release, which I can't remember what it is, but I think it's basically a barrel age version of Sumatra Mountain Brown. I don't know what exactly it's called. Cody just asked, what are you hoping is Founders' last barrel aged beer for this year? I think it's just going to be, that, it's like an espresso, barrel aged brown ale. I don't know exactly what the name of it is, but that's what the next one's going to be. And then after that is CBS, which, I mean, it's CBS, right? Like 2017 was pretty good, but it had been however many years, 6 or 7 years since the last one came out. I didn't have the one in 2011 or 2010 when it came out. 2017 was good. 2018 I didn't like much at all, to be honest, because it was just too sweet, too overdone. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what... I hope that Founders does stuff on the kind of on the tip of Mas Agave, because I really enjoyed that one. But knowing Founders, they're probably just gonna, you know, go back to all the other stuff that they usually do. You know, they don't really surprise. I guess they surprise people in doing stuff that most people don't want them to do, but they don't surprise in doing stuff where the fans or the people that really like the beer want them to do. Like, I would really love to see them put out the Imperial Stout as a barrel-aged series beer where it's super widely available like it is now with all this other stuff, but I'm sure that's not something that they want to do. Yeah, I think... Is it Frangelic? I don't know if that's what it's called. Let's see. Is New Holland going to do another sour series this year? Well, they just did the Grape. I think the Grape came out a couple weeks ago. I don't know the frequency of those beers. Like, that one came out, and then I think before that was like a rhubarb, an apple rhubarb, or strawberry rhubarb. I don't know. I haven't tried. I was talking to somebody earlier about this whole sour series from New Holland. I need to try some. I haven't tried any yet. I would like to. I just haven't had them. I have one in my fridge right over there with one of the sours, and I'm not going to break it out because this is really daunting as it is to finish. But yeah. Don says brown ale is underappreciated style. I totally 100% agree. When I got back into beer, browns were nice and mild. There's a few places that do a really good brown. I think most recently my favorite brown has been Old Nation's Electron Brown. I think that's an awesome brown ale. When I did Sap on Tap, I thought that was a brown ale. I recorded it once as saying it was a brown ale, and then I watched it. I'm like, this isn't a brown ale. What the hell was I thinking? But yeah, I think Electron Brown right now is like the best brown ale out. It has a really nice... It's kind of still on that thinner end like a brown. It's a little bit more mild, but it has a really nice espresso kind of taste to it. Which beer am I going to reach for? I just got to try all these. But I'm going to come back to this one, probably finish it first. Underground Mountain Brown. There you go. CBS, yeah, 12-ounce bottle, 750. No more 750s for us. The funny thing is if you drive, you know, however long it takes you to get to Canada, you can pick up all the 12-ounce bottles of CBS that you want. But here they put them out in bombers, so you gotta finish it all yourself. Rob on the internet. Whoa, that wouldn't be good. I know Rob on the internet mentioned something. Barrel-aged Sumatra. Absolutely. Downtown Bourbon Brown is one that I haven't had from Griffin Claw yet. I know that they put that in cans. When I was in Griffin Claw last, which was about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, that's when I picked up Rocky Road and I picked up the other the other stout that they did. Downtown Brown is still one that I haven't had, so that is one I need to try. Starting to get a little sloppy here, so I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes to ask any kind of questions you have that are aside from the stuff on 224 Draft 20, the Draft Therapy Hotline. Again, you can leave voicemails. You can text that number. I'll get back to you. I'll answer any of those questions. Again, I'll do a giveaway. You guys, all the same people that are watching this are probably already the ones that have watched. You can get some stickers like this. You can get some magnets like that. I have some round stickers. I'll give you a discount code on merchandise. It'll be at cost, basically, which, obviously I won't be gaining any profit from, and if you want a shirt, that would be for you, but if you don't, I totally understand. But yeah, so I'll give you guys a few more minutes to ask some questions, and then I'll probably cut this off and finish these beers in solitude. But yeah, this is a table of hangover right here. So actually, good time for me to take a water break. So I guess I have a question for you guys. And Brew Daddy Dave is a friend of mine, and we've talked about this quite a bit. There are beers that are peanut butter beers that have, like, for example, the big one that comes into mind is Peanut Butter and Jelly by Elk Brewing. And they, it's peanut butter and jelly. The peanut butter is the peanut butter. The jelly is like a jelly kind of flavor. When you get a peanut butter flavor out of that, I think Dave and I both get two different things. Do you get a peanut butter flavor, or do you get what flavor do you get out of a peanut butter beer? And I won't look at any of these answers and say anything until I hear you guys. I'm gonna let you guys answer in the chat. So Tyler says, how much did the hangover table cost? Craft beers can be expensive. Yeah, I got the home stuff I got from a friend that's a member. I'm not a member anymore of Homes. I used to be. I haven't renewed my membership this year because I just don't make it down there very often. I go to Ascension a lot more than I go to Homes, and I think that Homes is it's a little bit out of the way for me. But yeah, so somebody that's a member picked these up. These are not paid for. These beers not paid for yet. This whole Equilibrium thing, I got 3 4-packs. Unfortunately, I couldn't get singles. This was about I want to say it was like $70 for 3 4-packs, which is kind of insane if you think about it. If you put, return on investment. Yeah, it'll give you a fun time for a couple days, maybe. But this whole thing is just really expensive. I think it's really kind of an inclusive kind of club that we're all in. So some of you guys get peanut butter. For me, and SoCal Shave here said he put the male symbol on. I don't know what the hell that means, but maybe I get the female symbol. The peanut butter flavor I get is like peanut shell dust. I don't get any peanut flavor. out of some of these things. Like the only one that I can think of other than Drafting Horses Peanut Butter Stout is the Jaden James Monkey Butter Porter. That has peanut butter. I get peanut butter out of that, but I don't get anything else other than that. So, I don't know. Nutter Butter. Oh, none of your business. It's been a while since I've had that. Hopefully the stream's not jumping around too much for you guys. I'm kind of have a little bit of the live view over here, and it looks like it's a little crazy. But, yeah. All right, guys. Wow, that was... It's funny, going back to this sour IPA from Holmes, FAUX. It's like, you try all these New England styles, all these kind of crazy hazy beers that are these really strong citrus kind of flavors, and they're playing on all these different things. And then you come to this beer, it's a sour double IPA, and you drink it, or I take a drink of it, and it's like, wow, this is like totally crazy and quite a bit different. I think I'm still going to finish this first, and I'm not going to choke any of these down. It's not going to be a struggle to finish any of these, but again, clear winner is Holmes FAUX, and it's funny because I think they're known more for their IPAs, all these different kind of IPAs that they do. My favorite beers from Holmes are actually some of the sours and their King Cold Brew and all the different variations of it, which are basically just these cream ales, these coffee cream ales, which in the past, if you've watched the channel, you know that I'm not really totally down with cream ales because they're hybrid beers. They're kind of like, oh, we put in whatever and we use whatever kind of yeast and that's what we get. But I think that their coffee cream ales or cold brew series is probably some of the best cream ales and probably some of the best beers in general that I've ever had. So yeah, if you are in Michigan, if you're in the lower peninsula, I mean, if you're in southern Michigan, so basically anywhere below, I don't know, Mount Pleasant, you probably owe it to yourself to hit Holmes because they just do all this crazy stuff. Nick was the brewer for Right Brain, and when Right Brain was really innovative and all these styles came out from Right Brain, he was probably responsible for most of those beers. And now I think they're just kind of carrying on the legacy of a lot of those styles. Nick is the brewer at Holmes, and I think, just one man's opinion, but I think he does this just kind of crazy stuff that you kind of owe it to yourself to try. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and... yes. I'm just off on a tangent. Neapolitan Milk Stout is way better on tap, and they did a Ghost of Neapolitan, which is a white version, a white stout version of Neapolitan, and it's like way better than probably most white stouts that you'll have, including New Holland's White Dragon's Milk. So I am going to cut the live stream here. Hopefully you guys got some cool information about Equilibrium, maybe something you might not be familiar with unless you're a big trader. You probably never had Equilibrium, or if you visit the East Coast, I don't know what their distribution's like outside of New York. And then we have Holmes here, which is like a big hyped Michigan brewery. For good reason, they do great beers. But I really appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate the time you guys spent to watch. On a Saturday night, you could be watching the NHL playoffs. Hopefully the Blues at this point, I have no clue. Hopefully the Blues beat the Bruins because Boston doesn't need another championship. But that's just my editorialism. And if you're just tuning in now, unfortunately, I'm like a good probably 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 beers into this live stream. You can watch it after the fact, wrapping up. If you have any questions, it's a blowout. Brew Daddy Dave says it's a blowout. It's probably a blowout in favor of the Bruins, which makes me a little sad. But yeah, there he goes. There you go. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I don't know. I need to set up a Discord or something, and then we'll be on after the after show, and I can just finish this up and be as sloppy as I want to be. But in the meantime, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys watching. You know, as always, thanks for watching. I don't know all the other stuff I say, but, you know, support your local breweries, drink local. That's a big thing for me. When I vacation outside of Michigan, I always drink what's local because, you know, these small businesses are what kind of run, they kind of churn the country, right? So, as always, there we go. As always, drink craft beer, support your local breweries, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody, and cheers. Hope you have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, whatever is left. It's 11:12 here in the Eastern Time Zone, and yeah, treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later. Next live stream next week, which is my 1,000 subscriber stream. Leave any questions, any voicemails, you can text me or voicemail me, 224-DRAFT-20. And again, I will pick a random person. You'll win a bunch of draft therapy goodies. I'll give you some stickers, some magnets, codes for at-cost merchandise, maybe some extras. I can't legally say if any of this stuff might be possibly sent your way. If you want to try any of this stuff, send me some questions, send me some voicemails. All that great stuff, and I will see you guys probably next week about the same time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time Zone on the 8th of June, and, you know, enjoy your week, and hopefully you enjoy the next 2 videos that come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. I don't miss a week. I go on vacation. I still record all this stuff for you guys. Michigan beer. I just love bringing this stuff to you guys, and hopefully you get something out of it. So thanks for watching, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers.